Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Happy Halloween. It's Friday. Donnie and Dolly, the team on check. All of our guests today are brought to you by our title sponsor, Able Auctions and ableauctions.ca. This is a great tweet I just got from Gord. Wait and see. They didn't wait and see with Drew O'Connor or Marcus Pettersson. Whoa. In terms of re-signing Kiefer Sherwood. You're saying the Canucks are talking about still, wait and see. They don't want to re-sign him? Well, they traded for two guys. They had a history, but they traded for two guys. Yeah. And they signed them immediately, so that's a great tweet. Now
text.
No, I got a tweet.
Was it a text or tweet?
It was a tweet.
Okay.
You're going to tell me, Mr. Technology over there, and by the way, you are getting beat up after what you said in the first segment about not handing out candy.
The amount of kids that come for candy now is down 60% from...
Where are these?
No, I've read that from the 80s, 90s. The kids don't go out anymore. They don't go out anymore. Very few go out.
Thomas Drance joining us now from the Athletic and Sportsnet 650. Thomas, happy Halloween, sir. How are you?
Happy Halloween, gentlemen. Rick doesn't hand out candy, but he always wants to hand out extensions to Canucks forward.
Stop it, Thomas.
+%.
So
always.
So
that's what he hands out.
Are you on the wait and see? You're on the wait and see movement then, Thomas, when it comes to Kiefer Sherwood?
What's the logic of paying him now that he's the leading NHL goal scorer? I mean, it would be one thing to have done it or tried to do it before the season, before this unholy heater that this guy is on, because then maybe it would have been closer to his market value. I mean, he's reset his market, hasn't he, Rick?
Yeah, okay, but they're kind of stuck. Do you want the NHL's leading goal scorer to walk, or do you want to keep him? Don't you want to keep him?
I would love to keep him. Kiefer Sherwood absolutely rocks, but he's also 30. This team has to be mindful of sort of where they're going and where they're trending, right? I mean, the benefit of wait and see is in 2-3 months, you have a better sense of, hey, what's our team? I mean, we don't know what this team is right now. We've only seen them play, 4 or 5 games with anything even approximating a relatively stocked full NHL lineup. If you're way out of the mix come January, right, and you're looking at sort of different priorities in terms of the long-term direction of this team, then that's going to necessitate one thing. If you're you get healthy and you're competing and you're close, and Kiefer Sherwood has 15 goals and has maybe added an assist or two and is still throwing 4 hits a game, that might necessitate something different. So, for me anyway, wait and see is the only wise course of action here. And that's not to say that they shouldn't extend him or that they should trade him. I don't think we need to have that conversation yet. You've got time, use it. The time to sign him, in my view anyway, if you were going to, if you were intent on getting him done, the time to get it done was before the season. Now that he's on this unholy heater, you're paying for a guy who shot 37% through the first 11 games of the year. I mean, that's something that I'd be reluctant to do if I were the Canucks too. So for me anyway, wait and see is just prudent. And that's not to sort of put my finger on the scale either way. That's just how you sort of have to time it out, given where you find yourself.
Is it fair to say, though, Thomas, with how valuable he seemingly is, with the full package of the hitting and the point production so far, the deadline is the trade?
Doggedness.
Yeah, but the deadline is the trade deadline. Either he's got to sign or he's got to go because of the value in that player. They can't go past the trade deadline without an extension, right?
No, I think you can go past the trade deadline without an extension if you're clearly in a playoff spot. And not just like last year where it was oh, we're hanging on, like with Pew Suter or what have you. I mean, I think if you're clearly a playoff team and you're trending to be a playoff team and you're playing good hockey, then that, is fine to hang on beyond the deadline, for me anyway. But yeah, I mean, if you're well out of the playoff picture, I think that necessitates a different course of action. I mean, it was a big win yesterday. We don't have to do the big get. The Canucks have held the fort and hung on. So, I mean, let's sort of see where this season goes and see where we land before we get into making a determination. Does, 4 years from now, a 34-year-old Kiefer Sherwood help you more than the second round draft pick or what have you that you could get back for him. That's a January conversation, gentlemen, for me anyway.
All right, what about that character win last night, Thomas? 8 players hurt, and then Besser gets hurt 33 seconds in. And, they had... Unbelievable. They had a million excuses to fold their tent and say no. But in adversity is when you find character. And these guys, for the rest of the way, found a way to win last night.
Yeah, and I mean, Lankinen was huge, right? He lets in that sort of first goal, which had a bit of an odor on it, which, I think for a lot of Canucks fans, given... I don't think Lankinen has been as bad as his numbers, by the way, gentlemen. I just don't think he'd made those incredible saves in his first 4 starts leading into last night. Then he allows that sort of one that he'd probably want back in the first period to open the scoring for St. Louis. And from that point on, I mean, he was phenomenal. Sure, character win. I mean, they didn't fold the tent. They worked hard. Credit to them. The truth is you could play that game 10 times over and the Canucks lose it 9 times, right? I mean, the Blues were wildly dominant throughout that game. I mean, probably outchanced them 4-1 in terms of the really high quality chances, outshot them better than 2-1, and really seemed to be on the verge of absolutely taking over in that third period. The Canucks get a bounce on that first Sherwood goal. They get a bounce on the third Sherwood. Then they get unlucky to not win it in regulation on that very iffy goaltender interference call. On the goaltender interference call, gentlemen, by the way, can we just talk about this? Look at Binnington.
Yeah.
Does that look like a goalie who was interfered with?
Yeah.
Does that look like a goalie who thinks he was interfered with? It does not. It does not. Binnington. We know how demonstrative this guy is. If the goalie doesn't react, that's how you know. That's how you know that goal should have stood. When the goalie himself is like, yeah, that was an unfortunate goal that I allowed. That's completely fair. Anyway, so they end up getting unlucky to not win it in regulation, but they had some bounces along the way, and they had a sterling goaltending performance. And certainly you give credit to them for just sort of digging deep and sticking with it. You're right. They had a million excuses to lose. On form, they played a game they probably didn't deserve to win. But you know what? There are no style points awarded when you're missing 8 guys from your lineup and then lose another guy because he gets hit in the family jewels on the first shift of the game. That's just a tip your cap. Those are the sorts of wins that you kind of need when your back is up against the wall over the course of a long NHL season. Just to hold the fort, just to give yourself a chance when you get healthier, to determine your own fate as opposed to having it determined for you by bad injury luck.
How long can they hold the fort in terms of no second line center? The trade market is telling us there's a ton of teams looking for the exact same thing that the Vancouver Canucks are, second line center. Carolina, Montreal, Toronto, keep going down the list. There's a ton of teams looking for the same thing. It's going to be tough. If they get a second line center today, they're going to massively overpay. What are you hearing on the market? Yeah. What's going on with these guys?
Well, it's going to be tough. And let's be real, gentlemen, right? I mean, Montreal, they might look at themselves if a second line center, let's just take a name that's been rumored across the last week, although with the Elias Lindholm update, perhaps we should pour cold water on it now. Yeah. But like Pavel Zacha's name, right? If you're Montreal, and granted, it's probably harder for them to make a trade with an ancient rival within their division. Yeah. But, if you're Montreal, what's the marginal benefit that Zacha can bring to your lineup, right? It might be the difference between being a solid playoff team and like a legit contender, right? I don't think the Canucks are a Pavel Zacha away from being an elite contender. Do you? Right? Like, they're not. They need a guy like Pavel Zacha to be the playoff team that they want to be. Well, the gap there, right? The marginal value of going from being a solid playoff team to being potentially a contender is worth paying through the nose for, right? The marginal value of being, maybe not a playoff team to, I'm more confident in that team being a playoff team. Like, that's relatively small. And that justifies a smaller expense, too. Even with the Hughes factor looming, like, you mentioned a lot of teams in there that have realistic Stanley Cup aspirations and are looking for the same thing that the Canucks are. And the truth is that they're going to be motivated by the simple, laws of economics to pay at a level that, it's hard to see the Canucks matching. And that's part of the issue here too. As high leverage as this season is for the Canucks, the leverage of making that addition isn't going to be as high as it is for Carolina, as it is for a Montreal. And that's going to make it difficult to win the bidding as well. We'll see what the Canucks can sort of pull out of a hat in terms of trying to find a rabbit. a rabbit who happens to be a middle six center in this case, but it's definitely going to be gruesome. And sort of the logic of this, just the economic behavioral logic of which teams are going to be most willing to overpay, complicates this further.
Thomas, last night, Tom Willander, second NHL game for him.
Yeah.
19 minutes of ice time. What have you seen from a guy that some people think might be part of a Canucks trade package?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a much better performance than his debut. The Canucks were in zone a lot last night, right? I mean, they spent a lot of time in zone. That's a tough spot for a young player playing his second NHL game to be put in. And I thought he held up pretty well. I think that's the part of the game where he's at his best, to be totally honest with you. He's got a really high work rate. He's really fast. He's really conscientious in terms of the defensive side of the puck or the defensive side of the game. And I thought that all showed in the game last night. I almost think that game script lends itself better to his skills than one in which the Canucks are, for example, chasing a lead the way they were against the New York Rangers, like a narrow, down by one, every mistake matters. That's where some of his offensive decision-making, like some of the pinches that we saw in that New York Rangers game, becomes something that I'm a little less confident in terms of his processing at this point early in his NHL career. But the defensive side of the game, he's already really polished at, really conscientious at, really mature at. And I thought that showed through in that game last night.
Do you have a favorite Halloween candy?
Oh man, I love all Halloween candy. I think at the end of the day, those little tinfoil wrapped Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
They're better than the normal sized Reese's Pieces. They're like deeper and they're smaller. Those to me are just like absolutely by far the number one thing you want. And then obviously, do you remember back in the day, you knew every house in your neighborhood that would give out the bigger candies?
Yeah. The rich
and skip
area.
The dentist house.
Yeah.
And then you skip the dentist in the neighborhood house because they were giving out toothbrushes.
Yes.
Good times. It's too bad that 60% of children aren't going out anymore. Hey, by the way, Ryan, you're blasting Rick for his technological boomerism, and then calling them tweets. Are they still called tweets, bud?
Well, what are they though? Posts?
I think they're X's or something.
They're not X's. Stop it. Come on. Stop it.
Everybody loves their X's.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for doing this, Thomas. Happy Halloween. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thanks, boys. Happy Halloween. Go Jays.